Shalom Israel, Brother Reggie Jr. here. So today, guys, I'm going to be reading Genesis chapter 32. I'm just picking up where I left off from last time. And this chapter is mainly about Jacob preparing to meet his brother Esau, who he hasn't seen in a very long time. And so with that, guys, let's go ahead and get right into this chapter. Genesis chapter 32. And I'm going to read verses 1 through 5. And it says, "And Jacob went on his way." Okay, because Jacob finally left Laban, and it says he went on his way to where? On his way back to his kindred, and back into the land of Canaan. And it says the angels with an S of God met him. So it was more than one angel that met him while he was on his way. And it says, and when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." And mind you, you will only know it's an angel if the Lord opens up your mind to know it's an angel. Why? Because majority of the time we entertain angels unaware. But anyway, it says, he said, "This is God's host." And he called the name of that place Mahanaim. Now, why were those angels of God meeting with Jacob? Well, let's go ahead and see why. Let's go ahead real quick. And we're going to go to Psalms chapter 91. Psalms chapter 91. I'm sure some of y'all are familiar with this chapter, but we're going to go ahead and go down to verse 11. So Psalm 91 and 11, and it says, well, I'm going to read verse 10 as well. It says, actually, let me start at verse 9. That's more fitting. It says, "Because thou hast made the Lord, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation," meaning because you trusted the Lord, because you serve him, you decide to put your faith in him. It says in 10, "There shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come near or nigh thy dwelling." Verse 11, while them angels was there meeting with Jacob, "For he shall give his angels charge over thee, to keep thee in all thy ways." So those jobs of those angels is to keep the heirs of salvation, meaning people like Jacob, people like us, to make sure that those angels make sure that we're saved. They guide us, make sure no harm comes our way, make sure we're prospering on our journey through this life. And so there's another scripture I wanted to go to. Let's go ahead and go to, I'm going to go to Hebrews chapter 1. Hebrews chapter 1. And never forget what I said. You will know it's an angel if the Lord unlocks your mind. Because like I said, a lot of us, we entertain angels unaware. So unless the Most High open up your mind to the fact that it's an angel, you won't know. But anyway, Hebrews chapter 1, and I'm going to read verse 14, and it says, "Are they not all ministering spirits?" Talking about these angels. And it says, "They are sent forth," okay, "to minister for them who shall be the heirs of salvation." So that's those angels' job. Those angels' job is to surround and protect the saints and keep them on the way. Keep them in the way. That's what their job is. Now, let's go ahead and go back to Genesis chapter 32, and I'm going to continue reading 3 through 5, and it says, "And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau his brother unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom." Verse 4, and it says, "And he commanded them," so Jacob commanded his messengers. He said, "Thus shall you speak unto my Lord Esau." Look at him. Jacob is calling Esau his Lord. He says, and you're going to say this, "Thy servant Jacob saith thus." So Jacob now is referring to himself as a servant, and he's calling Esau his Lord. He says, "I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there unto now." Because remember, Jacob obviously, according to this, knew where Esau was. But remember, Esau didn't know where Jacob was because Rebekah told Jacob to hurry up and flee to her father Laban's house. Not her father, but her brother Laban's house. And that's where he was for those long amount of years. Well, what long amount of years? 20 years. According to last chapter, Jacob was with Laban for 20 years. Think about that, guys. That's a long time. 5 years is a long time. Jacob was with Laban for 20 years. So he hadn't seen his brother Esau in 20 years. That's a very, very long time. But anyway, see, the reason why Jacob is calling Esau his Lord and he's calling himself a servant is because he's trying to appease Esau. He's trying to smooth Esau over, but he's doing that for a reason, and we're going to figure out. But verse 5, this is also what you're going to tell Esau. He says, and I have oxen and asses and flocks and men servants and woman servants. And I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight. So that's what he was trying to do. Like I said, he was trying to smooth Esau over, and we're going to figure out why. So let's keep on reading, because I don't think, let me see. Okay, yeah, we're going to keep reading verse 6 through 8. And it says, and the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, we came to thy brother. Oh, so good. The messengers, ended up going to Esau. They met with him. But it says, and also, Jacob, he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Think about that. Esau got 400 men with him. That's basically an army. So ain't nobody coming to meet you with 400 men in peace. Or at least that's what Jacob is assuming, because Jacob is going to do something. Verse 7. It said, then Jacob was greatly afraid. Now, it said he was greatly afraid and distressed. But why was he distressed? We're going to get into that. It says, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herds and the camels, and into 2 bands, and said, if Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. So he divided his camp into 2, because he knew, he said, oh man, Esau coming. He coming from Edom. So he like, listen, if he attacked one camp, hey, at least the other one could escape. But again, there's a reason why he was doing that. Okay. Now let's see if I want to read these precepts, or if I want to go ahead and read verses 9 through 12. Let's see. Now I want to keep on reading. Verse 9 through 12, and it says, and Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham. So look at the first thing Jacob did. Jacob didn't go run to Rachel and Leah. He didn't go run to his servants. He didn't run to some man. Nothing. Jacob ran straight to the Most High. And that's what a lot of us don't do. And that's why we get in trouble when we get in situations. And it says, and Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidest unto me, return unto thy kindred. And indeed the Lord told him, he said, yeah, go back to the land of Canaan, and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. Verse 10. Jacob says, Lord, I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies. Meaning, Lord, those mercies that are easy for you to give, I'm not even worthy of that. He says, and of all the truth which thou hast shewed unto thy servant, for with my staff have I passed over this Jordan, and am now become 2 bands. Verse 11. And it says, deliver me. This is Jacob. So Jacob is asking the Lord. He says, deliver me, I pray thee. He didn't go run the idol gods. He didn't go running them gods that Rachel stole. He went to the Most High. He says, Lord, deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, his older brother, Esau. Even though they was the same age, Esau came out first. But he said, deliver me from my brother, Lord, from the hand of Esau. And look at Jacob finna keep it real. He says, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. So that's also a part of it too, guys. When you're praying against your enemies and stuff like that, maybe somebody at work, who knows. You have to be honest with the Lord when you're praying. Do not act like a spiritual giant when you're praying to the Lord, because you might have an enemy on your case that's got some power, and you need to be honest. If you're afraid, tell the Lord, Lord, I pray that you deliver me from this man, or Lord, deliver me from this woman, because I fear them, because they have a lot of power. They could take my livelihood away. They could destroy my family. So Lord, I pray that you protect me from them and deliver me from them. You have to be honest with the Lord. Don't try to act like no spiritual giant. Lord, got this dude trying me. I ain't scared of him, no, but you know what I'm saying, Lord. Just kind of get him off my back. No, be honest. That's what the Lord like, honesty. And that honesty comes with humility. So Jacob is asking the Lord to deliver him from his older brother Esau. Verse 12, and it says, and thou saidest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude. Meaning, let me interpret this. Jacob is basically saying, Lord, you said that all of this stuff was going to happen for me, but that can't happen if I die at the hands of my brother Esau. That's basically what he's saying. So he's basically reminding the Lord. Now, let's go ahead and find out why Jacob is assuming that Esau is finna come down on him with the sword. We're going to see why. And a lot of y'all should already know why, but I'm going to remind you. 13 through 20, and it says, and he lodged there the same night, and took of that which came to his hand, a present for Esau his brother. So now he's planning on giving presents to his brother Esau. Let's see what he is going to give Esau. It says 200 she goats and 20 he goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams. I mean, that right there, just off of that alone, back in them times, you was rich. Okay, 15. 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 she asses and 10 foals. And I'm telling you, that right there is letting you know Jacob was a very wealthy man. Very, very wealthy. Just like Abraham was and just like Isaac was. But nevertheless, he's finna get his stuff to his brother. Verse 16, and it says, and he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove. 17, and he commanded the foremost. He said, now this is going to be the most important thing when you meet Esau. He says, when Esau my brother meeteth thee and asketh thee, saying, whose art thou? And whither goest thou? And whose are these before thee? Meaning, whose servant are you? And where are you going? And what is all of these flocks and cattle? Whose stuff is this? Verse 18, Jacob says, then thou shalt say, they be thy servant Jacob's. So make sure you tell him I'm his servant. They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau. And behold also, he is behind us. 19. And so commanded he the second and the third, meaning servant, and all that followed the drove, saying, on this manner, meaning that stuff I just told y'all, you're going to speak unto him when you find him. You're going to speak unto Esau when you find him. And say, moreover, behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with presents that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept thee. So why is Jacob going on about trying to appease Esau and find grace in Esau's sight? And why is he looking for acceptance from Esau? Well, we're going to figure that out. But I want to go ahead and go to these precepts real quick, because It's obviously Jacob feels that Esau is mad about something. He feels that Esau is still wrathful about something that happened 20 years ago. All right. But nevertheless, he started sending all of these presents to Esau. But let's go ahead. Let's see why he sent that. Because he felt, hey, Esau was wrathful. Let's see why Jacob was doing what he did. Proverbs chapter 15. And I'm going to read verse 1. And it says, a soft answer turneth away wrath, but grievous words stir up anger. Boy, and that's something Israel need to learn, man, because we always trying to fight fire with fire and just ended up tearing up everything. But anyway, it say a soft answer turneth away wrath. And in this case, it was words, but it was also what Jacob did. Sending those flocks and those herds, camels and everything like that, because he was trying to, if Esau was mad about the thing that happened 20 years ago, he thought maybe, okay, maybe when I give him all of this stuff, because Jacob was giving an immense amount of wealth to Esau. And so he thought, okay, maybe if Esau, if he's in a bad mood, maybe I can cheer him up with this stuff. So whatever wrath he got on his mind, I could turn that wrath away from him. So let's go ahead real quick and let's figure out why Jacob, the whole point of him doing all of this stuff, humbling himself, sending presents to Esau, calling Esau his Lord, Jacob calling himself the servant of Esau. Let's see why he was doing all of that. Let's see why he felt Esau was coming to slay him. It's because he was thinking about this, brothers and sisters. Genesis 27 and 41. What was Jacob thinking about? It says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. To my that blessing of the firstborn. Okay, and it says, and Esau said in his heart, meaning in his mind. And what he said about his brother, he says, the days of mourning my father are at hand, meaning the days are coming where my father Isaac is going to die. And he said, and what he said, then will I slay my brother Jacob. So that's what he said in his mind. He said, yep. He said, it's cool though. He said, I know my brother, what he felt, stole his birthright in the blessing of the firstborn. He said, okay, it's cool, because when daddy died, I'm coming for Jacob's dome. That's what Esau felt. And that's what he was saying up here. But 42. And it says, and these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. Now, I didn't catch this the first time, y'all. This is the very first time I'm seeing this, what I'm about to say to y'all. Now, notice, Esau said all of this, well, up here. But it says what? And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. Who told that to Rebekah if those things were said up here? That means the Most High must have sent an angel to Rebekah and told Rebekah those things that were lingering in Esau's mind. Which lets you know, if it wasn't for that, Jacob would have never seen it coming. Isaac would have died and he would have never seen it coming. Esau would have ambushed Jacob and murdered him in cold blood. But that angel came and warned them. So 42. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah, and she sent and called Jacob, her younger son. And, you know, Jacob and Esau was the same age. It's just Esau older because he came out first. Jacob came out second. Therefore, Jacob was younger. And it says, and said unto him, behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, is concerning you, doeth comfort himself. He comforted himself up here, not out loud here. Says, purposing to kill thee. 43. Now, therefore, my son, obey my voice. Meaning, Jacob, don't question what I'm about to tell you. Don't you say nothing. She said, obey my voice, arise and flee thou to Laban my brother, to Haran. And from that day forward, Jacob took his journey, and he was at Laban's place for 20 long years. He hadn't seen Esau in 20 years. So a lot of things can happen in the span of those 20 years. Okay. And I'm pretty sure by this time Esau had children. Okay. Because remember, he had them wives of Ishmael. He had Canaanite wives, but he put them away and got those Ishmaelite wives. So I'm sure Esau had children by this time. So now let's go ahead and go back to Genesis chapter 32. Let's see where I left off at. So I finished 20. So verse 21 through 23. And it says, So went the present over before him, and himself lodged that night in the company. And it says, And he rose up that night and took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons, and passed over the ford Jabbok. And he took them and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had. All right. So now let's go ahead and go to let's go ahead and read verses 24 through 32. Now let's go ahead and read this. Now this is just before Jacob is getting ready to meet Esau. 24, it says, And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. So there wrestled with him a man. Okay, at least what we presume at right now. 25, and it says, And when he saw, meaning the man, when he saw that he prevailed not against him, against Jacob, he touched the hollow of whose thigh? Jacob's thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of his joint as he wrestled with him. And from that day forward, I am sure that Jacob walked with a limp. Okay, 26. It says, And he said, Let me go. That's what the man said. He said, Let me go, Jacob, for the day breaketh. And it says, And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. So he hung on to that angel for dear life. So that angel was like, All right, Jacob, let me go. Let me go. And boy, he was hanging on to that angel for dear life. 27. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. 28. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed, meaning prevailed what? Prevailed, meaning future tense, over our enemies and over Satan at Christ's return. Verse 29, and Jacob asked him, asked that man who is an angel. You guys should know that. But for now, he asked the man and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou doest ask after my name? And he blessed him there. So the man blessed Jacob there. He said, Don't worry about my name, but he did bless Jacob. 30. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. It says, and what does Peniel mean? For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Now, we know that this is an angel, but a lot of people will say, no, man, it ain't no angel. That was actually God. But I'm going to show you that this was, in fact, an angel, because this happened as well with another one of our ancestors. This happened with Manoah and his wife, as you know, who are Samson's parents. So let's go ahead real quick, guys. Let's go to the book of Judges, if I can get there. Joshua. Okay, here we go. Judges chapter 13. Judges 13. We're going to take a look at Samson's parents, because something similar happened in terms of seeing God face to face. Judges 13, and I'm going to read verses 21 and 22, and it says, But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah, which was Samson's father, and to his wife, which was Samson's mother. It says, Then Manoah knew that he, meaning that man that kept visiting them, was an angel of the Lord. When he stopped appearing, that's how they knew. That's how Manoah knew. Oh, this was an angel of the Lord. Now, guess what it said in verse 22? And Manoah said unto his wife, we shall surely die, because we have seen God. But did they really see God just like with Jacob? No. All you got to do is go back up to verse 21 and read the last part. It says, then Manoah knew he was an angel of God. No, when it's saying stuff, we're going to go back to Genesis 32. But when it says stuff like I've seen God face to face, what it's trying to tell you is that this angel was in the presence of God. So therefore we've seen God face to face, because that angel was in the presence of the Almighty God of heaven, of all heaven and earth. And he came before us and we lived. In other words, it's just that overwhelming glory, that righteousness, and the fact that nothing happened to them, seeing that they were unworthy. Because being in the presence of that angel was like being in the presence of God, because that angel was in the presence of God, if that makes sense. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Now, let me see. Okay. Also concerning seeing God face to face. Let's go ahead real quick, guys. I wasn't going to go here, but I couldn't help it. Let's go ahead and go to Exodus chapter 33. And I'm going to read verses 18 through 23. But I'm going to start at 17 because it makes more sense. And the Lord said unto Moses, I will do this thing that thou hast spoken, for thou hast found grace in my sight, and I know thee by name. And he said, I beseech thee. This is what Moses said. After all that time that Moses spent with the Lord and stuff, this is what Moses said. He said, I beseech thee, Lord, show me thy glory. And so you know what Moses was asking God? He said, Lord, I know you come down in the pillar of smoke. I know you talk with me and different stuff like that. But he actually said, Lord, I want to see you. I want to see you in living colors. I want to see you, your person. I actually want to see you stand. Okay? I want to see your visage. Something that God wouldn't let the children of Israel see. But let's see what God said. God himself. Let's see what he said. And said, I will make all my goodness pass before thee. He said, okay, Moses. Said, and I will proclaim the name of the Lord before thee, and will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and shew mercy on whom I will shew mercy. 20, and he said, thou canst not see my face. He said, Moses, I can't let you see my face, like my literal face. I can't let you see my face. For there shall no man see me. No man that's in flesh and blood. Can't no man see me, see my face, and live. You'll have to kill you. That's what he's saying. That's how you know Manoah and his wife Jacob, they didn't actually see Jesus in his full glory. They didn't see that. Couldn't see his face. They would have got killed. Okay. Verse 20. And it says, and he said, let me see, 21, excuse me. And the Lord said, behold, there is a place by me, and thou shalt stand upon a rock. And it shall come to pass, while my glory passeth by, I will put thee in a cleft of the rock, and will cover thee with my hand while I pass by. And I will take away my hand, and thou shalt see my back parts, but my face shall not be seen. So in other words, all Moses probably seen was a giant shadow like this, which was just the hand of the Lord. And by the time that hand was taken away and Moses was in that cleft of the rock, that's all Moses seen right there. So Moses actually got to see God. He got to see God's visage. He got to see that, yes, the Lord was a real person. And you know that made probably Moses all the more sorrowful for the children of Israel, because they had no faith in God. Probably didn't even believe he exists. They were just going through the motions, okay? But nevertheless, Moses got to see the Most High, which is absolutely astonishing. It's amazing. Let's go ahead and finish this thing out. Verse 31 and 32, and it says, "And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh." Okay. 32, and it says, "Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank." So now we know why Israel don't eat of the sinew. It says, "which is upon the hollow of the thigh." And it says, "unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh, and the sinew that shrank." So that was a great chapter, one of my favorite chapters, guys. That's pretty much it with that. For that, I hope you guys got some understanding, and I will meet you guys in Genesis chapter 33 when Jacob actually meets his brother Esau, which he hasn't seen in 20 years. So I hope you guys got some understanding, and with that, shalom.